Cabinet nods to the draft of amendment to Local Government City Corporation Act. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina reiterates her commitment to hold next polls in free, fair and neutral manner. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina set to inaugurate long-cherished maiden movement of trains over Padma Bridge tomorrow. People from all walks of life in festive mood at Bhanga in Faridpur as their dream come into reality. Citizens of Dhaka will resist BNP if it tries to immobilize the capital city, says Obaidul Qadir. Cinema hall owners thank Information and Broadcasting Minister for releasing Bangabandhu biopic across the country. BNP will participate in next polls. BNP will participate in next polls. Al-jazeera will also recover soon, hopes Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Israel announces a total Gaza blockade, strict embargo imposed on food and fuel supplies. Death toll surpasses 1,300 in Israel-Palestine fighting. And Bangladesh will face England in ODI Cricket World Cup in Dharamshala, India tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Gulstan Ahmed welcoming you all to News at 10. You have heard the highlights, now moving on to the details of the news.
তোমাদের মনে রাখা দরকার, দেশ যখন আমার আছে, মাটি যখন আমার আছে, বাংলার সোনার মানুষ যখন আছে, যদি আমরা সোনার ছেলে পয়দা করতে পারি, ইনশাআল্লাহ আমার যে স্বপ্ন সোনার বাংলা তা একদিন হবে। আমি দেখে না যাওয়ার পারি, কিন্তু ইনশাআল্লাহ হবে।
The Cabinet has approved the draft of the Local Government City Corporation Amendment Act 2023. As a result, the election will have to be held within 3 months instead of 6 months after the end of the term of the City Corporation. Besides, the annual leave of mayors and councillors has been reduced from 3 months to 1 month. The approval was given at the Cabinet meeting held with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in the chair at the Prime Minister's office today. Cabinet members and secretaries concerned attended the meeting. The Cabinet also approved the draft of the Local Government Union Parishad Amendment Act 2023. The meeting gave in principle approval to the draft of Bangladesh Labour Amendment Act 2023 with the provision of increasing the maternity leave of women workers from 112 days to 120 days and taking leave at the convenient time as per their desire. The Cabinet gave its final approval to the draft of the Foreign Voluntary Organizations Prevention of Acquisition of Immovable Property Act 2023 with the provision that no foreign organization can buy or donate land without government approval. In today's Cabinet meeting, the draft of the Paira Kuakata Development Authority Act 2023 was also approved. After the meeting, Cabinet Secretary Mohammad Mahbub Hussain told reporters at the Secretariat that the Cabinet thanked Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for becoming the 33rd nuclear power country and building the 3rd terminal of the Sharjah International Airport. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina reiterated her commitment to hold next polls in a free and fair manner. The Prime Minister made the remarks when visiting Swedish State Secretary for International Development Cooperation at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Diana Janse called on her in her office this morning. At the briefing later, Prime Minister Press Secretary Ihsanul Karim said during the meeting they expressed satisfaction at the existing bilateral relations between Bangladesh and Sweden. The Press Secretary said as the Swedish minister raised the issue of the next general elections, Sheikh Hasina renewed her commitment in holding the election in a free and fair manner. While talking about climate change, the Premier said, unfortunately, the developed countries are not doing enough to combat the impact of the climate change. During the meeting, Diana Janse described that the deep-sea port being constructed in Bangladesh can be a game-changer for the economic development. She said, Sweden is a good development partner of Bangladesh and some 50 Swedish companies are working in this country. In this context, the State Secretary of Sweden laid emphasis on increasing trade and investment between the two countries. She highly praised Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, particularly for her success in poverty reduction and infrastructure development in the country, as well as for her leadership on the issue of climate change. The Swedish minister also appreciated the government of Sheikh Hasina for sheltering huge number of Rohingyas who were forcibly displaced from Myanmar. In this regard, Diana Janse said Sweden wants dignified and sustainable repatriation of the Myanmar nationals to their homeland in Rakhine. While talking about Ukraine-Russia war, Sheikh Hasina said the war should be stopped and the money saved from ending the war should be channeled towards the welfare of mankind. Sanctions should not be placed on transportation of food grains, she said. Secretary to the Prime Minister's office Mohammed Salahuddin and Swedish Ambassador to Bangladesh Alexander Berg von Linde were present at the meeting. The much awaited train services over Podda Bridge will be commenced tomorrow. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will inaugurate the 82-kilometer long Dhaka-Faridpur part of the 172-kilometer long Podda rail link road. She will attend the inaugural function at Mawa railway station in Munshiganj and will address a public meeting organized by Faridpur District Awami League at Dr. Qazi Abu Yusuf Stadium at Bhanga. Mawa railway station is fully ready for inauguration. The entire area is now dressed up to welcome Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. People of both sides of Podda are excited to get high-speed rail service after modern road connectivity. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will cross the Podda Bridge in a special train from Mawa station. The special train carrying Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is also fully prepared with 2 new engines and 13 passenger coaches. The railway project will not only create a link between the two banks of the mighty river, but also the entire country will be brought under a rail network which will help to increase the economic growth. The rail network between Dhaka and Jazeera will usher in a new area in communications and economy in the south and southwestern parts of the country. A portion of the track between Dhaka and Faridpur's Bhanga via the Podda Bridge is going to open tomorrow. Talking to BTV, economist Dr. Ahsan H. Mansoor and Dr. Mustafizur Rahman said road and rail networks in this region will draw huge investments, creating employments. It will expedite activities in Mongla and Pyra seaports and Benapol land port, as well as on the 2 banks of the Podda River. The long-cherished Podda Bridge was opened 15 months ago. Now trains will run over the mega structure. The Podda Rail Bridge will reduce Dhaka-Joshua distance by 200 kilometers and the distance will stand at only 170 kilometers. Experts said the proper use of this rail bridge might contribute 2.30% of GDP in the country. Awami League General Secretary and Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir has said citizens of Dhaka will resist BNP if it tries to immobilize the capital city. He made the comment while addressing a peace rally organized by Dhaka City North Awami League at Gaptoli in Dhaka this afternoon.
Dhaka অচল করে দেবে অক্টোবর মাসে ঢাকা অচল করতে আসলে ঢাকাবাসী বিএনপিকে অচল করে দেবে রূপপুর বন্ধ করবে রূপপুর যারা বন্ধ করতে চায় ফখরুল মইনুর মাথা রাশিয়ার ইউরেনিয়াম ঢেলে দেব লাফালাফি নাচানাচি বাড়াবাড়ি বন্ধ করে ভালো হবে না বেশি লাফালাফি করলে অবস্থা খারাপ হবে জিনিসপত্রের দাম বেশি কিন্তু বলেন তো একটা মানুষও না খাইয়া বসে শেখ হাসিনা মানুষের জন্য আছে কাউকে না খেয়ে পড়তে দেবেন না আমি খাবো না তবু মানুষকে খাওয়াবো মানুষ বাঁচতে বাংলাদেশ বাঁচবে মানুষ বাঁচতে আওয়ামী লীগ বাঁচবে মানুষ বাঁচতে মুক্তিযুদ্ধ বাঁচবে
President of Dhaka City North Awamin League Sheikh Bazlur Rahman presided over the rally, which was also addressed by President and Member of Awamin League Jamin Govind Nanak, Joint General Secretary AFM Bauddin Naseem and General Secretary of Dhaka City North Awamin League SM Manan Kochi, among others. Later, a huge rally was brought out protesting anti-national and anti-election conspiracies, terrorism and anarchy of BNP Jamaat. The procession circled from Gaptoli to Shamoli in the capital. The visiting U.S. pre-election observation delegation met with Bangladeshi Awamin League delegation in a city hotel today. After the meeting, Awamin League delegation leader and party secretary Obadul Qadir briefed the reporters. He said it is impossible to compromise with BNP breaching the constitution. The U.S. pre-election observation delegation seems positive to send observers in the upcoming national election, he added.
বাংলাদেশের গণতন্ত্র নির্বাচন কমিশনকে শক্তিশালী করতে প্রায় 82টি সংস্কার শেখ হাসিনা সরকার করেছেন, সে ব্যাপারে আমরা কথা বলেছি এবং অবাধ সুষ্ঠু শান্তিপূর্ণ নির্বাচন অনুষ্ঠানের ব্যাপারে প্রধানমন্ত্রী দেশরত্ন শেখ হাসিনার যে অঙ্গীকার জাতির কাছে, সে বিষয়ে আমরা আইআরআই ও এনডিআই প্রতিনিধি দলের সঙ্গে কথা বলেছি। বিএনপি যেসব অভিযোগ তাদের কাছে করেছে তার জবাব আমরা তাদের জানিয়েছি। আমরা কারো বিরুদ্ধে কিছু বলতে চাই না, কিন্তু দেশে আজকে এমন এমন গুজব মিথ্যাচার চলছে, তখন আমাদের তার জবাব দিতে হবে। প্রতিনিধি দল অবশ্য বলেছেন তারা কোনো বিষয়ে মধ্যস্থতা করতে আসেন, তারা এখানে একটা ভালো নির্বাচন দেখতে চান। আমরাও বলেছি আমরা একটা অবাধ নিরপেক্ষ শান্তিপূর্ণ নির্বাচন অনুষ্ঠানে অঙ্গীকারবদ্ধ, জাতির কাছে ওয়াদাবদ্ধ এবং সে লক্ষ্যেই আমরা কাজ করে যাচ্ছি। গণতন্ত্র বলতে কম্প্রোমাইজ অ্যাডজাস্টমেন্ট বিষয়টা থেকেই যায়। কনস্টিটিউশন ভায়োলেট করে I cannot make a compromise or adjust.
Earlier, Obadul Qadir led the Awamin League side in the meeting with the visiting U.S. pre-election observation delegation. Awamin League President Member Lieutenant Colonel Muhammad Farooq Khan, International Affairs Secretary Dr. Shami Ahmed, Office Secretary Barrister Biplab Borua, Information and Research Affairs Secretary Dr. Selim Mahmood, and Executive Committee Member Muhammad Ali Arafat were present at the meeting. Maria Chin bint Abdullah led the 12-member U.S. pre-election observation delegation at the meeting. The leaders of the Film Exhibitors Association have thanked Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood and the ministry for taking the decision to release Bangabandhu biopic Mujib, Making of a Nation in the highest number of cinema halls across the country. The leaders of Association of the Cinema Hall Owners thanked the Information and Broadcasting Minister at a meeting with him at the Secretariat today. Dr. Hassan Mahmood said Bangabandhu biopic is truly becoming a document of history.
এই ছবিটি সত্যিকার অর্থে ইতিহাসের একটি দলিল হয়ে দাঁড়াচ্ছে এবং এটি একটি ইতিহাসের দলিল। এই ছবিটি কোকা থেকে শেখ মুজিব থেকে বঙ্গবন্ধু থেকে জাতির পিতা হলেন, সেটিও এই ছবিতে উঠে এসছে। কিন্তু অলমোস্ট সবকটি হলে প্রায় 200টা স্ক্রিনে একসাথে মুক্তি পেতে যাচ্ছে এই ছবি এবং ডিমান্ড আরও বেশি আছে। কিন্তু প্রথমেই আমরা অন্য জায়গায় দেখাতে চাচ্ছি না, এটা আবার আন্তর্জাতিকভাবেও মুক্তি দেওয়া হবে। তো এবং ভারতের পুরো টিম তারা সেখানে আসছেন আগামীকাল। তো আশা করব এই ছবি সমগ্র দেশের মানুষ দেখবে এবং এই ছবি জাতিকে নাড়া দিবে।
Later, responding to a question from journalists about BNP's statement to a US pre-election observation delegation, the Information and Broadcasting Minister expressed optimism that BNP will take part in the next election. Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr.
বড় বিষয় হচ্ছে জনগণ অংশগ্রহণ করলো কি জনগণের অংশগ্রহণে কোন কোন রাজনৈতিক দল যদি অর্থাৎ বিএনপি সহ তার মিত্ররা যদি নির্বাচন বর্জনও করে সঠিক সময়ে নির্বাচন অনুষ্ঠিত হবে এবং জনগণের অংশগ্রহণে একটি আন্তর্জাতিক মানের নির্বাচন বাংলাদেশে যথাসময়ে অনুষ্ঠিত হবে আসলে বিএনপি চায় নির্বাচনে জেতার নিশ্চয়তা তারা চায় তাদের বক্তব্যটা এরকম নাচতে না জানলে উঠান বাঁকা বলে না তো তাদের বক্তব্যটা ঠিক সেরকম যে নির্বাচনের পরিবেশ নাই এজন্য আমি নাচবো না তারা যদি এত জনপ্রিয় হয় তাহলে নির্বাচনে আসুক আর নির্বাচনকালীন সময়ে তো সরকারের কার্যত কোনো ক্ষমতা থাকে না ক্ষমতা মূলত নির্বাচন কমিশনের হাতে ন্যস্ত হয় তাদের আসলে দেশ সমাজ রাষ্ট্র কোনো কিছুর উপরে আস্থা নাই দেশের উপরেই তো আস্থা নাই দেশের উপর আস্থা না থাকার কারণেই তো মির্জা ফখরুল সাহেব বলেন পাকিস্তান আমল ভালো ছিল যারা পাকিস্তান ভালো ছিল বা পাকিস্তান আমল ভালো ছিল এই কথা যে এই দলের মহাসচিব বলে তারা দেশে বৌদ্ধ ব্যক্তিরা মনে করে তাদের দেশে রাজনীতি করারই অধিকার থাকা উচিত নয় কিন্তু আমরা মনে করি তারা যেহেতু রাজনীতি করছে তারা নির্বাচনে আসুক আমরা তাদের সাথে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতাপূর্ণ একটি নির্বাচন চাই
Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood also replied to the questions from journalists about al-Jazeera's treatment.
আমি এবারও আল্লাহর কাছে প্রার্থনা করি তিনি যেন অতীতে যেভাবে বাংলাদেশের চিকিৎসকদের চিকিৎসায় দ্রুত সুস্থ হয়ে বাড়ি ফিরে গেছেন এবারও যেন তিনি দ্রুত সুস্থ হয়ে ওঠেন সেটি মহান আল্লাহর কাছে প্রার্থনা করি তিনি যাতে সর্বোচ্চ স্বাস্থ্যসেবা পায় সেজন্য সরকার আন্তরিক এবং যত ধরনের সহযোগিতা প্রয়োজন সেটি করছে আর বিদেশ পাঠানো সেটি আদালতের এখতিয়ার যদি তাদের সেটাই করতে হয় তাহলে তারা আদালতের শরণাপন্ন হতে পারে
Earlier, Information and Broadcasting Ministry Secretary Mohammad Humayun Kabir Khandakar and Film Exhibitors Association Chief Advisor Shudipta Kumar Das spoke at the meeting with leaders of the cinema hall owners. And now, moving on to international news. Israel's defense minister orders a complete siege of the Gaza Strip and the cutting off of food, fuel, electricity and water supplies. It comes 2 days after shock attacks in Israel by Hamas militants left hundreds of civilians dead. 9 US citizens are now confirmed dead, while more than 10 British citizens are feared dead or missing. The latest death toll stands at 560 Palestinians in Gaza, according to health officials, and more than 800 Israelis, according to Israeli medical services. The intense bombardment has so far displaced more than 120,000 people in the besieged Palestinian enclave. The Israeli army says 1 lakh reserve troops have amassed near Gaza, where Palestinian fighters say they are holding 130 people captive. Emergency teams in Afghanistan are racing to rescue people from the rubble left by a powerful earthquake that struck the west of the country. More than 1,000 people are feared dead after a 6.3 magnitude quake hit villages in Herat province on Saturday. With communications down and many roads blocked, rescue workers are struggling to reach remote areas. Hundreds have also been injured. The UN and other organizations have begun to rush in emergency supplies. The earthquake struck about 40 kilometers northwest of the city of Herat at around 11 local time on Saturday. The exact death toll is still being established. The UN's Humanitarian Affairs Office in Afghanistan says more than 1,000 people have been killed and about 500 are still missing. Earlier on Sunday, the Taliban government said 2,000 people had either been killed or wounded. At least 30 people have been killed in landslides caused by heavy rains in Cameroon City, Yaoundé, the emergency services have said. A local radio station put the death toll at 40, saying that many people are still missing. Rescue efforts were hampered by floods, forcing locals to pull bodies out of the debris with their bare hands. Heavy rainfall caused the Mefo River to burst its banks on Sunday, submerging several neighborhoods. The poor neighborhood of Nbankolo was worst affected in the latest disaster. This year's Nobel Economics Prize was awarded to Claudia Goldin, an American economic historian, for her work on women's employment and pay. Professor Goldin's research uncovered key drivers behind the gender pay gap. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said she is only the third woman to receive the prize and the first to not share the award with male colleagues. The 77-year-old academic currently teaches labor market history at Harvard University in the U.S. This year's laureate in the economic sciences, Claudia Goldin, provided the first comprehensive account of women's earnings and labor market participation through the centuries, the prize-giving body said in a statement. And now some other international news in brief. Russian forces thwarted and repelled 5 Ukrainian attacks on the Krasny-Liman direction, with the enemy losing up to 50 personnel, said Battle Group Center spokesman Alexander Savchuk. Eleven Kurdish security personnel were killed and dozens wounded in a Turkish airstrike early Monday on a training center for police in Kurdish-held northeast Syria, a war monitor said.
Naming a so-called immortal KK is designated as a terrorist organization by the United States and the its campaign against the Turkish state.
Hong Kong has closed schools and suspended trading on the stock exchange after weakening typhoon Koinu brought torrential rain and storm force winds on the southern Chinese territory.
It's now considered a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds of 90 kilometers.
Japan issued a tsunami advisory for some coastal regions early Monday following a series of shallow earthquakes in the Izu Islands in the Pacific Ocean, but there were no immediate reports of damage from the minor waves generated, seismologists said.
The Japan meteorological affected regions.
Landslides and flash floods in northern Vietnam killed 3 people and left 1 missing, according to the National Steering Committee for Disaster Prevention and Control.
Một người dân mất tích đã liên lạc với như toàn bộ 40 trại cá nước lạnh cầu duy nhất dẫn vào đây đã bị nước lũ. Chính quyền địa phương chưa thể tiếp cận được.
And now some more national news. No improvement was seen of the dengue situation prevailing across the country, as over 2,000 have been infected and 10 died during last 24 hours. A press release of the Director General of Health Services said among the dead 6 were in Dhaka and 4 were outside Dhaka. 2,660 dengue patients were admitted to different hospitals across the country during the last 24 hours. Among them, 649 dengue patients were hospitalized in Dhaka city and 2,011 patients outside Dhaka. Meanwhile, no one died of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The country reported 14 COVID-19 positive cases as 1,372 tested in the last 24 hours. Corona infection rate was reported at 1.02%. And now, news on weather. Met Office in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow said light to moderate rain or thunder showers accompanied by temporary gusty wind is likely to occur at a few places over Rangpur, Mymensingh and Sylhet divisions and at 1 or 2 places over Rajshahi, Dhaka, Khulna, Borishal and Chattogram divisions. Besides, moderately heavy falls likely to occur at places over Rangpur, Mymensingh and Sylhet divisions. Day and night temperature may remain nearly unchanged over the country, said the Met Office. And now, news on sports. English will take on England in their second match of the ICC ODI World Cup 2019 tomorrow. The match will start at 11 a.m. Bangladesh Standard Time in Dharamshala. Earlier, the Tigers started the tournament by defeating Afghanistan by 6 wickets in their first match. England started with the World Cup tournament with a 9-wicket loss against New Zealand in the opening match. New Zealand beat Netherlands by 99 runs in the ICC ODI World Cup cricket match in Hyderabad today. Chasing the victory target of 323 runs, the Netherlands managed to score 223 runs for all in 46 over 3 balls. Earlier, batting first, New Zealand scored 322 runs for 7 wickets in the stipulated 50 overs. Will Young scored 70, Tom Latham 53 and Rachin Ravindra 51. And now to end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Cabinet nods to the draft of amendment to Local Government City Corporation Act. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina reiterates her commitment to hold next polls in free, fair and neutral manner. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina set to inaugurate long-cherished maiden movement of trains over Podda Bridge tomorrow. People from all walks of life in festive mood at Bhanga in Faridpur as their dream come into reality. Citizens of Dhaka will resist BNP if it tries to immobilize the capital city, says Obaidul Qadir. Cinema hall owners thank Information and Broadcasting Minister for releasing Bangabandhu biopic across the country. BNP will participate in next polls. Al-Jazeera will also recover soon, hopes Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Israel announces total Gaza blockade, strict embargo imposed on flood and fuel supplies. Death toll surpasses 1,300 in Israel-Palestinian fighting. And Bangladesh will face England in ODI Cricket World Cup in Dharmshala, India tomorrow. And that was all from the newsroom at the moment. Thank you for staying with us. And we invite you to watch our 11:30 Bangla News. Keep your home still neat and clean and stay safe from dengue. Until the next time, Khuda